from 1950 to 1966 and was celebrated again on the 40th anniversary in 1985. In 1967, a Soviet-style Victory Day was also celebrated on May 8th. Since 2002, the German state of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern has observed a commemoration day, also known as Day of Liberation. Also, the Russian Federation has officially recognized May 9th since its formation in 1991 and considers it a non-working holiday, even if it falls on a weekend. The holiday was similarly celebrated there while the country was part of the Soviet Union. We are witnessing at this moment a Conviasa airplane carrying the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who is at this moment, as we can see, coming down the plane, down the stairs at this hour in the international airport of Moscow in Russia, to be part of the celebrations of this moment of historical remembrance in order to pay homage to the Soviets who made this deed of winning over Nazism. We are seeing at this moment live images. The state is leading the delegation that will commemorate the heroic deeds of the Red Army during the Great Patriotic War. Foreign leaders and also envoys from 29 countries are also arriving earlier today and also in the coming hours, arriving in Russia to commemorate the Victory Day with a parade that is going to be held on May 9th with a series of events also throughout the nation to commemorate this historical moment. Also, international guests are expected to hold meetings with the President of Russia, of the Russian Federation, with Vladimir Putin, to hold bilateral meetings in order to achieve several agreements of bilateral and mutual interest. Are expected also the presidents of China, the presidents of Brazil, Venezuela, Serbia, Egypt, also to attend this parade, who is famous for being very, very huge and with the presentation, display of military achievements, and also as a moment of respect for the martyrs of this heroic deed. Let's recall that earlier today the President of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, arrived in Moscow and was received by Russian authorities after his first stop in the city of St. Petersburg, where he honored the memory of the thousands of heroes and martyrs of the siege of Leningrad. Throughout the world in the past few days and in the coming days have been a huge mobilization throughout the cities of the world in order to recall, to highlight and to commemorate this Victory Day, and this is going to be the main event that is going to be remembering this heroic deed, the victory over Nazism, which today is very important to highlight that this practice must be eradicated in a world that is facing with a worrying side, the outcome of such much hatred, and also an advance of fascism throughout the world that is leading to a horrendous genocide in Palestine performed by Israel with the complicity of the US and also the world. In this event, on this Victory Day, is going to be uniting their voices in order to stop these practices of hatred like fascism, neo-fascism, and also an upsurge in these hatred movements throughout the world that are leading precisely to the world to see with so much concern a live, almost on a daily basis, that is broadcast for everyone to see, of a genocide of such dimensions for over a year already in Palestine, perpetrated by Israel. Also today, This hour, we are bringing you live images of the arrival of President Nicolas Maduro, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, that is, as he is going to take part in the events that are commemorating the 80 years since the Soviet Union's victory over Nazism in the World War II. We are seeing images of the head of state that is leading a delegation that will commemorate and pay homage to the heroic deeds of the Red Army during the Great Patriotic War. Also, foreign leaders and envoys from 29 countries are going to be attending at this ceremony, at this commemoration, that is going also to have international guests such as the presidents and delegations from China, Brazil, Venezuela, Serbia, Egypt, Slovakia, among others. And also there will be, during the victory parade, there will be military units from 13 countries, including China, Egypt, Vietnam, among others. At this moment, we're seeing the President Nicolas Maduro and the first combatant Celia Flores, who are arriving at the international airport in Moscow, as they are going to be received by high authorities of the Russian government. They are both going to be attending all the celebrations and all the commemoration with such respect that are going to be taking place in the country in order to receive May 9th, which is the date in which the world commemorates Victory Day of the victory of the Soviets over the Nazism during the World War II. At this moment, President Nicolas Maduro is being received by high authorities of the Russian government. They are going to be talking about the agenda they are going to be having in the coming hours. The President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is going to hold a meeting, a bilateral meeting with President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. They both are going to be highlighting the mutual the historic relationship of mutual respect that has been taking place for years now between Venezuela and Russia. The President Nicolas Maduro is being received at this moment at the international airport of Moscow. He's in a joyful way. He's saluting at this moment the high officials from the Kremlin, the government, that are receiving the President at this hour in the international airport. Is past 3 a.m. local time in Moscow, and the President has just arrived in a Conviasa airplane to be part of the celebrations of the May 9th victory, which is the date in which the world remembers and recalls the victory day over Nazism during the World War II. Earlier today, also the President of Cuba, Miguel Díaz-Canel, arrived in Moscow and was received by the Russian authorities. He was early on this past week in Russia already. He went to the city of St. Petersburg, where he honored the memory of the thousands of heroes and martyrs of the siege of Leningrad. President Nicolas Maduro has just arrived in Moscow at this hour. He's being received by a delegation from the Russian government, who are joyfully receiving him at this hour at the airport. Let's recall it's past 3 a.m. in Moscow territory at this hour. The President of Venezuela arrived at a Conviasa airplane, which is the Venezuelan national airline. As I mentioned, we were live to Moscow, Russia. We were witnessing the arrival of President Nicolas Maduro, who is going to take part in the events commemorating 80 years since the Soviet Union's victory over Nazism in World War II. This is all for the moment, but stay tuned with TeleSUR English for all the details, all the information on this historical commemoration.
Uno de ellos fue denunciado por violación sexual a los niños custodiados. Y con el último no tienen comunicación.
Es una violación sistemática de derechos. Recordemos además que Estados Unidos es el único país que no ha firmado, no ha ratificado la Convención Internacional de los Derechos del Niño, juicio a los niños como adultos, hasta hace poco había pena de muerte. Es decir, estamos hablando de un país que de manera reiterada violenta todos los derechos de los niños. Pero o sea, de por sí los niños debieron haber estado con su familia. O sea, ya es una violación al derecho internacional haberlos separado de su familia.
Ellos le quieren tener, y hay muchas mujeres infértiles, a lo mejor se enamoraron de la niña y capaz que la quieren quitar. ¿Qué libro es eso allá?
Que se la dan al Estado siempre.
Se la dan al Estado para después la adoptan.
Chloe afortunadamente no corrió con la misma suerte que la bebé de Yorelis. Su papá estuvo detenido por meses, pero la familia pudo llegar completa a Venezuela. Una exigencia que le ha hecho el gobierno venezolano a la administración Trump, que no solamente deporte hombres, sino también mujeres y familias.
¿Tenías temor de que te pasara lo mismo que ella, la misma suerte? Sí, porque sinceramente ese gobierno no le importa nada si te quitan los hijos. Él estuvo preso 6 meses allá. A mí me tenían en la casa con grilletes. No podía trabajar por ella, nada, y nada que hacían con él, solamente lo tenían ahí. Bueno, gracias a Dios me podía comunicar con él, pero nunca hacía nada.
Venezuela denuncia el robo de niños en Estados Unidos.
El gobierno de Estados Unidos se está robando a los niños venezolanos y esto tiene que ver con la trata de personas. Esto hay que denunciarlo ante el mundo.
Yorelis luchará por recuperar a su bebé y a su esposo.
Aquí está tu madre, mi reina. Aquí está tu madre y vamos por tu hija, mi amor. Vamos por tu hija, mi reina. Vamos por tu hija, mi vida. Vamos por tu hija, mi amor.
El problema es de que en el 2010